Lawmakers in Australia have now banned the use of social media for kids under the age of 16 years old. That raises the question here. Could a law like this ever work in the United States? How does social media actually impact the minds of our youth? Well, for answers, we're joined by the author of Growing Up in Public, Dr. Devorah Heitner. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's take a step back and look at the impact sites like TikTok and Instagram may have on the young minds, on those kids that are 16 and younger.
So we know that these apps are incredibly immersive.
Yeah.
We know that they're designed to keep you there. So there is some manipulation happening for all of us. And it's important to think about how social media affects all users, whether they're youth or adults, and think about how can we encourage these companies or maybe regulate these companies to make the experience better and safer and less manipulative for all of us.
Well, especially what we're seeing in Australia, besides the possibility of interacting with strangers, which we know is a danger online, what other fears or dangers of these global platforms are there to children?
So the dangers that concern parents and educators the most are, I think, comparison culture, just feeling less than if you're comparing yourself to others all the time on these apps, being exposed to really problematic content about something like self-harm or things that encourage eating disorders. And, you know, a lot of beauty content is kind of adjacent to that, right? And can be very toxic. So those are some of the concerns, being exposed also to hateful content and potentially being recruited into extremist point of views. Because of the way algorithms work, often if what we want to see is something positive, then we see more and more of that. But if we do start to click on things that are more problematic, the algorithm may send us things that are even more harmful and more problematic. And that's certainly concerning both for child and adult users.
So based on what we're seeing implemented in Australia, again, kids under the age of 16 cannot get on social media platforms. Do you think something like that could potentially work here in the U.S.?
Well, first of all, kids under the age of 16 in Australia can still get on social media platforms, and there's no mechanism at this point in that law for that to actually be enforced. So at this point, it's going to happen, right? It's passed, but it's very theoretical in terms of how they're going to know if someone is under 16 and how those people will be kept off social media. There's not really a plan. So I'm going to say that this is still very theoretical, but the benefits that people might perceive, I think, are outweighed by the harms, because when you ban kids under 16, you're kind of letting social media companies off the hook for some of these problematic design features. I would prefer to see the companies be regulated to make the experience better for all users, as opposed to banning people under 16, which doesn't teach under 16s how to use social media. And it kind of lets the companies off the hook for some of these problematic features.
Dr. Devorah Heitner, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.